huge part of being a singer is your voice, right? But there is another huge aspect that I want to talk about today, because you could have the most beautiful voice in the world, but if no one hears it, it's only ever going to be that. So stay tuned while I break down some very simple and effective ways of self-promotion that you can do for free and will get you places in hearing, people hearing your voice. There's so many different layers, and I'm going to speak today to those who may be on their beginning end of things. This can always be super helpful for anyone who is in the process of their career to reevaluate and just kind of make sure. You could even see, like, how could I update some of these things here? But I want to speak to those who might be venturing out, starting, they're working on developing their voice, they're doing great things, but they're just not 100% sure of how to get people to listen to it. So the first thing I would say to anyone is utilize the free platforms. People will go, oh, they're oversaturated and so forth. But when you find, if you can be really good at going and even starting by adding people to the different, you following them, and not necessarily to follow, unfollow, but finding those people, typically a good tip would be to go to people that are similar to your style, right? So I always say, like, who would you open up for as an artist? And you can go and start to follow who's following that artist, and be mindful of maybe going to the page and checking it out. And that can just be a nice way to start some outreach, like, hey, come check out my stuff, starting to develop that relationship. But first and foremost, utilizing the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. You can start to, everything takes energy, so you might find a couple of them that just are where you feel best with, you feel comfortable with the platform, you feel comfortable with being able to use it. And each one too, guys, just be sure to do your research behind each one of them. Like YouTube, for example, this is a great platform if you're watching this from there. For educational stuff, there tends to be some things that go and some things that don't, right? And there's long form and then there's short form, and what works for long form and what doesn't always work for short form. So, or the reels, and that's Instagram, right? So, and it's always changing. So that's why too, you can kind of think about what are the two that would be the best 2, 3 that I can manage and operate. But utilizing that when you're starting, and it could just be when you don't have music, you could be singing little clips of songs, you could be talking about what projects you want to work on or are working on, you can be talking about yourself, where you're from, your background, just your personality, what missions you're passionate about. That can be great content when starting out. So utilizing and getting yourself on there and not being afraid, right? Things can be taken down, things can be modified. So, people sometimes want to wait till things are perfect, and I've had this many times, but I'm always like, so you're gonna create this awesome album, invest all this money into it only for you to not have anyone to listen to it when you drop it. So I would keep that in mind right there. With that being said, talking of music, albums, and things like that, let's speak to DistroKid or TuneCore. Those are great distributions where once you do create your music, that you go and you can put it out on there. Again, a lot of this has to do with the legwork that you're going to put in towards doing the promotion, right? Putting some stuff into there. And a lot of times when you're starting, guys, it is building a small business. You have to think of that mindset. And a lot of times with a small business, you're the one on the ground. You're doing every kind of hat, right? Until you build enough of a brand where you can have a team. So that being said, if you're working full time, totally understandable. You got to make income in order to help with supplement with some of the other things I'm going to have coming up in a bit. But that being said, maybe designate a couple hours a day, an hour, 2 hours. the biggest thing, consistency. I say that over and over. What is a determining factor in someone's success is be consistent across the board. You won't always see those seeds, those plants coming up right away. Sometimes they take longer than others, but they will. So start to think about utilizing those platforms and creating a presence on there as well. All right, moving along. Okay, all. Performance, right? And this is a whole nother skill set that you want to hone in on if you do want to learn more about performing. And I'm going to put a shameless plug here. You don't have to. There's tons of videos on YouTube. But I do have an online course that I created with the very talented Whitney Doucette. She's performed with Keith Urban, Gillette Stadium, NASCAR. I myself have done some pretty awesome things, and it breaks down everything you need to know when it comes to the art of performing, right? It is a whole nother skill set. I find people tend to master the vocals, then it comes to performing and they're just kind of like standing there. And you need to learn how to move the body, engage the audience, talk to the audience, and there's so many other things. And in that, I will have a link to that below. You can check out. But that is another huge way, guys, to be able to get word out there. Actually, I think it's one of the greatest ways, because whereas the Spotify and Instagram and social media doesn't always bring in the revenue, the money, performing can do that. So you not only can get your name out there and start marketing, getting people to know you, but you're also getting income for that. So I'm a huge advocate of really refine your vocals and your performance and who you are, right? What is your brand and all of that there. Do I want to play an instrument myself? Do I want to have a band? Do I want to do with tracks? Whatever it may be. But that can be a great way to start to get people aware of you as an artist. So, live performing. All right, and this one's gonna kind of be a tailspin off of the last part there of live performances. And social media you can do for free and stuff like that, but as you start to want to build more and more of an audience, and you need, you're doing bigger and bigger shows, you're gonna need to invest some. Any business is only going to last so long as it doesn't filter back into the business to do things that are necessary in order to up the brand. So in this case, you gotta be thinking of eventually professional photos, a website, and again, this professional music. Even if you only are able to do one professional recording, that is better than a bunch of subpar. So professional recording, again, the website, small business cards, there's great things that you can utilize. Canva's awesome, guys. For if you're on a budget, there's great things that you can create within there, right? Flyers for your show. Because that's important, right? There's only so much, and I know people don't always want to hear this, but there's only so much you are going to be able to do as a solo act, but also without having to invest in it financially. And the greatest thing is when you can have some money coming in to substitute for those things, but sometimes that again can take some time. So you have to think business, small business as you're starting, hopefully build into a big business towards the end, but these are some helpful, hopefully, tips that can help you in order to be able to build your brand, get people aware of your fabulous self. As always, if this has helped you, please, helps me, hit that subscribe button there, like, comment. We are very active, myself, team, to be able to check the comments and see if there is things that you all need help with. So I am active in watching that. So do not think that goes without seeing. All right, all. Thank you so much. I hope this helped.